Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
But why 2 weeks, though? Like, for real. What's going on in the next 2 weeks? Well, I mean, as you know, 47 wants the BBB on his desk by July 4th. Yes. The anniversary of the day that the United States celebrates its independence from a king? Yeah, that day. Did you know that, I mean, I hope so. But, I mean, I get it if you didn't, because this big, beautiful disaster is like over 1,000 pages. And, you know, I mean, who is reading all that? Certainly not the members of the House that voted on it. Anyway, am I right? Okay, so Section 70302 of H.R. 1, otherwise known as the Big Beautiful Bill Act, includes a provision that limits the federal court's ability to enforce contempt of court citations against government officials for failing to comply with court orders. So basically, it's this little clause that it's kind of attacking the separation of powers by making it harder to hold government officials accountable, right? So this doesn't really align with your typical reconciliation bill. Reconciliation bills, by design, are supposed to address only budgetary matters. Obviously, this isn't a budgetary matters. But because they only address budgetary matters, they only require a simple majority, kind of bypassing the filibuster in the Senate and allowing for expedited considerations. So, I mean, is this an issue? Yeah, it kind of is. So there's this rule, you see, it's called the Byrd Rule, and it's named after Senator Robert Byrd, B-Y-R-D, and it ensures that reconciliation bills remain focused only on matters of the almighty dollar. And with it, it prevents the inclusion of unrelated provisions, such as, like, you know, the provision in Section 70302. So, I mean, is there a direct link that could enforce or deny 47 from, like, a formal declaration of war in the Big Beautiful Bill? No. And I mean, it is possible that the provision could indirectly influence political dynamics between the branches of power. But, I mean, it is a BBB after all. This bill could indirectly influence our approach, the U.S.'s approach to foreign policy, by focusing on the potential to increase the national debt, how much it can spend, and that can obviously affect allyships and kind of determine, you know, what he can do next. And really, I mean, how much can he spend on this war? So, as you know, July 4th is in the next 2 weeks, and he does want that on his desk by then. So we definitely need to be calling our senators and telling them to vote no on the Big Beautiful Bill, because of this provision, which kind of makes it not a reconciliation bill, and also because it's crap. It's just not good for the nation. Our government can do so much better than this bill. So let's hold them accountable and make sure that they're, you know, living up to their expectations, because we deserve better as Americans. Now, a formal declaration of war can only be declared by Congress. Can we and have we used force without a declaration in the past, and will we in the future? Yeah, of course we have. Look at the Nixon administration, right? Like, for real. We'll call things conflict or conflict resolution, defending allies, things like that. But it's not actually war, a formal declaration of war. And there are also rules that need to be followed in order to really send kind of anybody any of our armed forces into hostile territory. Right now, there's this dude named Massey, and he is seeking congressional approval before entering a war. Okay. It's through a privileged resolution. Privileged really just means that it's going to get priority, right? And that kind of forces the vote to come within a certain amount of days. I think this one is 15. He tried to push it through on Monday or Tuesday, which is going to be 2 weeks. Again, fact check me, you guys. I'm just a lady with a phone on the internet. I don't know what I'm talking about. And always fact check everybody. I mean, whether it's long format or short format content, especially, mainstream media, go down your own rabbit holes, look this stuff up, figure out for yourself, educate yourself. It's fun, for one, and for two, knowledge is power. You know what I'm saying? But fact check me, but I think it's 15 days that they have to vote on this. Now, what the fuck am I talking about, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to tell you all about the War Power Resolutions Act. Okay, this was enacted in 1973, yes, under the Nixon administration. I really need to do Gigi Says What Now on the Nixon administration. I think there's a lot from that era that we can learn from that's definitely prevalent today, and I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of come into play throughout what we're going through now and the coming years. So yeah. I mean, Nixon was a piece of shit, but there's a lot to learn from there. Anyway, so the Resolution Act, the War Powers Resolution Act, basically requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of deploying troops to a hostile territory. It also gives a time limit of 60 to possibly 90 days of, limited engagement, unless Congress authorizes continued forces in whatever area that we're going. Basically, it maintains a power balance between the commander-in-chief and Congress. Okay, but here's the deal, right? The House is on vacay right now, as usual. But they do return on Monday, January 23rd, 2025. And so hopefully this privileged bill will go through quite quickly. And within the next 2 weeks, there'll be a better idea and better parameters of what Congress is going to allow and how much he can spend. Now, is this going to really matter into whatever decisions are made within the next 2 weeks as far as what the U.S. is going to do in the current climate? It might not. Only history is going to tell. And, as we the people, all we can really do is contact our representatives and let them know where we stand and how we feel. But in order to do that, I think we really need to kind of do some introspection and decide, what side of history are you on? For me, I'm very pro-peace. I absolutely do not condone, for any reason, point blank, period. And I am kind of a radical leftist, so, full disclosure, that's the page you're on. But yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out, or if we even get to 2 weeks before decisions or actions are taken. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today on Gigi Says What Now. I'm happy to have you here. If you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I do hope you'll consider hitting that subscribe button. And I will plan on doing a whole segment on the Richard Nixon administration coming up. I do have a lot of knowledge on Nixon, but I'm going to have to do a lot more research and scripting, so it might be some time. And I keep meaning to do it, but all this stuff keeps coming up. And I never meant for my page to be a political page. I really like to try and keep it a really safe space. But lately, I'm an activist at heart, and I have this tiny itty bitty little platform, so sometimes to host a safe space, you have to protect and defend it. And so I'm trying very hard to share my thoughts and my feelings and my voice and find my community. Maybe you'll consider letting me into your community. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here for Gigi Says What Now. Remember, you are valid, you are worthy, and you are loved. Okay, bye. Stay safe.